Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. Spend the Bits posted this on Twitter, and this is a new feature, guys. If you are one of those XRPL believers, but you also hold Bitcoin, this is a great feature on the Spend the Bits wallet. A new feature-full version of the app is ready to use for Canada, and soon merchants will also start accepting ultra-fast Bitcoin in payments. This was a pain point for me. I went to a sushi restaurant last month. They said they accepted Bitcoin. It's written all over their uniform and all over the restaurant. And so when I asked them, "Hey, can I pay in Bitcoin?" she kind of looked at me and she's like, "Oh no, it doesn't work. It's too," and she kind of didn't really give me a reason why they weren't going to accept my Bitcoin, even though they say they accept Bitcoin. So I think this type of technology is going to be groundbreaking for those people who want to actually start using Bitcoin for payments. Now it can be transferred on the XRP ledger through the Spend the Bits wallet. So they continue by saying, all thanks to battle-tested XRPL for making this possible and allowing us to expand the XRPL ecosystem further in Canada. A great option here, guys, is Spend the Bits wallet. I think, though, that the recipient also has to be using the same wallet, if I'm not mistaken. There's a video here just kind of talking a little bit about this if you guys are interested in this kind of thing. But I mean, I love this idea of using crypto to spend. At a point in time, I was like, well, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just hold, like a stock, buy my crypto low, hold it, sell it when it's high into fiat dollars? Why would I ever spend my cryptocurrency? Well, fast forward to today, and with a destabilized financial economy, this whole idea that the powers that be want to bring down the system and basically push us to start using central bank digital currencies. First of all, we don't even know if a central bank digital currency is going to be equivalent 1-to-1 to a dollar that I hold in my bank account. So there's that question first. Are they going to rip us off? Are they going to say, oh, well, all that money that we printed in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, yeah, that's worth garbage now. So for every $10 you hold in your account, you're going to get one central bank digital currency. Or for every $100 you hold in your account, you're going to get one central bank digital currency. We don't really know how this is going to roll out, and this isn't happening right away. But, we need options. And so this is the kind of thing that I love seeing. The fact that now you can utilize, and the fact that it's Bitcoin, I don't care what you think about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most popular cryptocurrency right now. And so many people hold it. So many people want to use it for commerce. There are countries that are actually using it for legal tender. And so to be able to make those payments fast on the XRP ledger is going to be huge. So I like this company. I like this concept. I like this idea. I think we should be using our cryptocurrency more for spending. And, that's only really if you're up on your stash. Like I had mentioned, I bought my Bitcoin in 2017. And so with $2017, I'm up 5.25x on my stash. So my cost average is around $4,000 per BTC. Now Bitcoin is actually worth $24,000, give or take. So if I were to divide that by 4,000, I'm actually up times 6. I'm actually up 6x now on my BTC. So this is how we combat inflation. If something were to cost $6 today and I pay for it with Bitcoin, well, I'm only paying $1 in the 2017 dollars that I put into Bitcoin at that time. This is how we combat inflation, but we need the mechanism now to make that work. So great to hear this from Spend the Bits. We're also hearing some news, guys, coming out of Japan from the Wrath of Kahneman. SBI VC Trade has announced renewal of the system for XRP International Money Transfer Service using ODL. They note they've made it a multi-tenant type system that can connect with multi-operators for any of the above. So just taking a look at this document, this is in Japanese. So let's translate that real quickly. Renewal of system for XRP International Remittance Services using on-demand liquidity. So what they say here, we have renewed the system for XRP International Remittance Services using ODL. We would like to inform you that we have implemented a multi-tenant system that allows connection with multiple companies for both domestic fund and remittance destinations. Then it gives us a bit of a definition for ODL, on-demand liquidity, tells us a little bit about XRP, and then back in July of 2021, which was last year, a fund transfer company within the group and Ripple, a business partner. Through this collaboration, we have built a system for the XRP International Remittance Services using ODL and have realized Japan's first international remittance service using crypto assets to the Philippines by SBI Remit. So that was their first corridor. And by the looks of it, they are using another company here called AsianNet to help facilitate that. Coins.ph, of course, an exchange in the Philippines. So that's how they're sourcing the on-demand liquidity. Wrath of Kahneman also just kind of mentioning two questions out of this. Is it a renewal or a renovation? Must they renew their contract to use it every so often, or are they indicating changes to the setup? And number 2, what does multi-tenant imply? So that's an interesting question. Other organizations might use someone's ODL connection. Could it just be a translation issue? So that's what I find as well. You know, when I'm looking at these Asian, usually they're Asian. I mean, usually they're coming out of Japan. I mean, if it's SBI specifically, it's usually coming out of Japan. Usually I'm looking at these articles and I'm like, okay, like what the heck does that really mean though? Because the English translation isn't that good necessarily. So he goes on to say, here's Asian Net Co. For what it's worth, offering various information services using telephone communications, international communication, business communication, software development business, voice wholesale business, and VPN business. And Minusculous down here saying, I don't get it, so confused about this. I thought multi-tenant is already done and utilized via multi-hop. No? And Wrath of Kahneman responding down here, a very good point. Equals multi-tenant could just be a translation of multi-hop. So again, is it a question of translation? It is the language that is just awkward enough in English here to be unclear. I suspect we'll find out enough soon. Crypto Bassi also just kind of asking, what does this mean in layman's terms exactly? And the Wrath of Kahneman just saying, not sure. See my tweet with the questions in it. It's at very least confirmation SBI VC trade uses on-demand liquidity. So that's first and foremost good to know. At the most, it may be an expansion of use somehow. Well, we've got some clarification. Wrath of Kahneman did continue on by saying, you know, judging from their Facebook page, SBI/AsiaNet seems to be a Japan-Vietnam remittance corridor, now using on-demand liquidity and therefore utilizing XRP via SBI VC trade. So this is confirmed that it is Vietnamese. And something else that one of Wrath of Kahneman's followers actually mentioned, this is coming from @crypto_narcissist here on Twitter. Until now, the only way to use ODL in Japan was to use SBI Remit. However, I believe that now anyone can use ODL if they are affiliated with SBI VCT. It may be that the use of the service is now permitted in terms of Japanese regulations. So that is a translation here from somebody from Japan who clearly saw this thread and wanted to kind of clarify the Japanese translation here. Wrath of Kahneman responding, oh, excellent. Thank you so much for the explanation. I appreciate your work. Cheers. So there we have it. Now it sounds as though anybody in Japan can utilize ODL on-demand liquidity through RippleNet, through XRP, sourcing that liquidity through one of the providers, in this particular case, coins.ph. It's looking like AsiaNet is one of those companies, a Vietnam company, so opening up the Vietnamese corridor through Japan. Interesting news here. Wanted to thank the Wrath of Kahneman and, of course, Crypto Narcissist here on Twitter just for kind of clarifying that. Great to have people all over in the XRP community just so we can get the most accurate information. Guys, some Algorand news here from Michael Branch. Algorand makes a strong case why central banks should use their chain for central bank digital currencies. So we know some central banks are working with Ripple, but now Algorand is looking to, kind of trying to coerce some central banks that, maybe you should use our chain. This article goes on to say many countries and central banks are showing interest in CBDCs. They will peg to the value of the local fiat currency. Whether we like them or not, it's likely we will see them entering the digital space. Algorand made this report as a case to build CBDCs on their blockchain. So they posted this tweet. Algorand's 2022 Central Bank Digital Currency Report is here. Co-authored by a team of leading economists and researchers, this new report highlights 6 considerations for central banks when evaluating the design and implementation of central bank digital currencies. So the report is here, guys, linked in this article. It was a report from a couple of weeks ago now. As already mentioned, 9 countries already issued a CBDC. This includes the Bahamas and Nigeria. I don't know if they mentioned Bhutan in here, which was done in coordination with Ripple. Another 80 countries, though, are looking into central bank digital currencies. You can find pilot projects in Sweden and Jamaica, for example. On the other hand, India, the Eurozone, and the US have them in development, or rather in a development phase. It's noteworthy that central bank digital currencies don't have to be on a blockchain. The Federal Reserve Bank of Boston and the MIT found some interesting results. A distributed ledger might have issues with scalability of central bank digital currencies. Furthermore, it may also affect efficiency. So Algorand must make a good case to get parties interested in their technology. And then they give some points why down here supporting the growth of the digital economy, wholesale central bank digital currencies versus retail central bank digital currencies. And then they talk about the Algorand hybrid model. So it's looking as though they want to take some market share, want to create central bank digital currencies on the Algorand blockchain. And, Algorand, another great project Another cryptocurrency that is World Economic Forum approved, something that we know is likely going to be utilized in a new financial system. I mean, world elites, they control the financial system. They realize they effed it up. They're trying to tear it down with huge amounts of inflation and a lot of other sociopolitical tactics. But, at the end of the day, we're going to move on to a new standard. We're going to move on to cryptocurrency. It's going to be part of a new standard. And so, I feel safer if I'm invested in cryptocurrencies. Well, first, that solve problems, but also cryptocurrencies that are mentioned by the World Economic Forum, for example, considering they have such deep ties with central banks around the world. The Rothschild family, just to name one very important, very influential family when it comes to the world of finance. So, this is interesting. Now, Algorand is kind of gunning for a spot in the central bank digital currency space. So wanted to thank Michael for posting that. Also, this guy's another one from Michael. I guess 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth doesn't mean anything anymore. Now, this has to do with recession talks. This is what they're telling us, the plebes, so that we don't ask too many questions. Janet Yellen sees no recession, calls U.S. economy exceptionally strong. Okay? The U.S. economy is not in a recession because it has not met the complex criteria that would define such an economic downturn. This is what Secretary Yellen said on Thursday during a press conference. She spoke following the release of gross domestic product, or GDP data, showing declining growth for a second consecutive quarter. But, the smart people are questioning this. We're wondering, how is that the case? Are you just BSing us or what? It sounds like you are. Yellen's interpretation differs from those who define a recession as occurring when GDP shrinks for 2 straight quarters. However, there are some economic observers who have said the factors behind a recession are more complex than previously thought. So, this is how they're justifying it. U.S. GDP fell an unexpectedly high 0.9% for the second quarter after dropping over a percentage point for the previous 3 months. Yellen said the real definition of a recession is a broad-based weakening of the economy, and that is not what we're seeing right now. She also said a semantic battle about whether a country is in recession should be avoided. So they don't even want to field questions with regards to their definitions about a recession or not. What we can constructively do is talk about what is the state of the economy, she said, highlighting that the labor market remains exceptionally strong. Inflation remains the Biden administration's main priority, and there's a possibility the Federal Reserve can tame inflation without causing the labor market to suffer, Yellen said, reiterating a previous talking point. There's a path to bring down inflation while maintaining a strong labor market, Yellen said. It's not a certainty that can be done, but I believe there is a path to accomplishing that. So dancing around the question, I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. Funny, considering I also saw this from Watcher.guru here on Twitter. Fun fact, Wikipedia's recession definition page has been updated, guess how many times? 22 times in the last 24 hours. So with regards to the concept of a recession, some contributors have continued to update this term, and it has been updated 22 times in the last 24 hours. So a lot of activity here. This coming on the heels of Janet Yellen saying, no, we're not in a recession, even though we have seen 2 consecutive quarters showing declining GDP growth. All things that make you go, And something else that I found interesting, posted here by @Fame21More here, with regards to correspondent banking relationships and SWIFT. The main company, the big dog, has been for about 4 decades now for cross-border remittance services. Of course, Ripple has always been clear and never hidden the fact that they want to take a large chunk of SWIFT's business. Well, Fame21More posted this: banks' correspondent relationships are falling as SWIFT messages increase. So here's what we are seeing. The relationships for correspondent banking is falling. Transactions sent, okay, that is the light blue color here, are also falling, but active correspondence is still on the incline. Interesting. It looks like a lot of market share is now moving away from SWIFT and onto other technology, other providers. It doesn't say, obviously, which providers are taking away the business. However, which company has been saying that they want to do this from the beginning? Obviously, Ripple, they have a better mousetrap. We already know this. And now they've proven it, okay? It's 2022 now. This is no longer 2018 when this is just, talk at the Sibos conference, that SWIFT conference, where they had this discussion and SWIFT was basically laughing them off. Well, now we're seeing this as a reality and it's showing up in the numbers. So the correspondent relationships are falling. And just to give you guys a sense of what that is, correspondent banks are financial institutions that act as an agent on behalf of other financial institutions, usually foreign banks. Correspondent banks may perform treasury service, manage foreign exchange, manage international investments, and facilitate international trade and finance on behalf of a foreign bank. Well, you know, if these foreign banks are finding a better mousetrap, are finding a better solution for this, and we know Ripple has been going around the world just kind of pumping their wares, you know, these companies, these banks, these correspondent banks are likely going to take note. And, you know, since cryptocurrency is the way of the future, is going to be the mode in which cross-border transactions occur, I'm sure a lot of this is due to that. And so we're also seeing transactions decline as well from these correspondent banks. The active relationships, though, are going up. I think it's because the standard is still there. You know, everybody thinks, well, I got to be part of SWIFT, and that is kind of kind of traditionally been where, you know, we go to perform these transactions. But that's not to say that they only have the one partner. A lot of these banks partner up with more than just one organization. And so it is my hypothesis that more and more of these banks are using RippleNet, leveraging XRP for these transactions. And this is why we're seeing transactions sent from banks' corresponding relationships from SWIFT moving to the downside. And this was this source here was from the Bank for International Settlements, SWIFT, and EIU. Interesting statistic there. Wanted to thank @Fame21more here just for posting that. And with regards to the video I did yesterday, a bit of an extension on that, guys. When I was talking about XRP as a digital reserve currency, maybe not the world's reserve currency, well, Jim Rickards also kind of talks about this point in terms of what the BRICS countries are doing today. If you guys didn't see the video I did yesterday, I will link it up here in the top right-hand corner. But here's Jim Rickards, okay? Adding on to that point, if you guys didn't see yesterday's video, I suggest you bookmark this, go check out yesterday's video, and then come back to this and listen to what Jim Rickards says, okay? Basically, complementing what I was talking about yesterday. Here's Jim Rickards. Listen to this.
BRICS just had Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa are the big five BRICS, but they've now expanded their meetings and their work to include a lot more countries. So Argentina, Iran, Turkey, a lot of other important economies who have these BRICS conferences. They've announced that they're working on some kind of global settlement currency. And I would make the distinction between a payment currency and a reserve currency. People tend to confuse the two. They tend to talk about the reserve currency status. That's a tough nut to crack. It can happen. Sterling used to be the main reserve currency. It lost its role between 1914 and 1944, but that took 30 years. Now the dollar may be losing its role, but that's going to be a slow process. But the payment currency is different. You could use almost anything as a payment currency, assuming the parties agree. So they may come up with an international payment currency backed by a basket of commodities, and they're all commodity producers. You know, Russia has oil and natural gas, Saudi Arabia has oil, Brazil again has oil, but also large agricultural output, largest or second largest soybean producer in the world. Africa has enormous mineral outputs, et cetera. So you go around the membership, and you can see that they've got the potential commodity backing for that. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, is a Central Asian group led by Russia and China. But again, they're attracting new members. They're working on something similar, and others are as well. And of course, we got our friends over in crypto world. I don't think that will be a reserve currency probably ever, but as a medium of exchange, as a payment, it could perform a role. And I've lectured about and hypothesized that Russia and China could develop a new digital currency. It could be a cryptocurrency, call it the Xi coin, Putin coin, whatever you like, and use that as a payment mechanism. But all you're really doing with any payment currency is you're keeping score.
So a lot of great things here from Jim Rickards talking about a payment currency versus a world reserve currency. So I was talking about in yesterday's video a digital reserve currency, which is essentially the same type of thing. We need a mechanism in order to transfer value. Jim Rickards is saying the same thing, okay? And he's even going further and saying it could be a cryptocurrency. Now, he was referring to crypto in terms of a world reserve currency, which he doesn't actually think is going to happen, but a payment mechanism, something that transfers value, something that all parties can agree upon. Well, we know XRP, an agnostic cryptocurrency that can transfer anything of value. Nobody has to be worried that one party is going to benefit over the other. It's just a means of value. It's a means to provide liquidity. And Jim Rickards is echoing this exact point. So we have the BRICS countries, we have Russia, China, two major superpowers, and whether they agree on a specific world reserve currency or currency that they at least use for transactions, well, they're going to need a payment mechanism. XRP is there for the world to use. It is a decentralized crypto. Anyone can transfer value on the XRPL. Jim Rickards is also talking a little bit about the US dollar and its position as a world reserve currency and how that is slowly slipping. It is not going to disappear tomorrow, but it is slowly slipping. And this ultimately gives a reason for the world to wake up. Make a choice. We have to decide how we're going to transact, especially if the old system is collapsing and a world reserve currency may not be as influential or important as it once was. So do we transfer to a digital payment currency like XRP? Well, that's what Jim Rickards is describing. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.